Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 10:30. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, somebody want to move it? Josh moves. All in favor? Carried. Minutes from the March 10th meeting. Is there any errors or omissions, Connie?
No, they look fine.
Okay, so Connie moves. All in favor? Carried. Reports, Lisa, yours please.
Biocontrol. So Alberta Environment and Parks has indicated that they will provide us with $8,000 towards biocontrol releases again this year, as they have in the past. These must be placed on bed and shore land. We've had releases on leafy spurge sites in previous years along the South Saskatchewan River and Seven Persons Creek with that program. They have also said that they're going to start a new biocontrol project within the Rangeland Conservation and Stewardship branch this year. So this will be the first year for that, and there's going to be 5 counties involved, including Cypress County. So with that, we're going to get an additional 5 releases, and they've been prepaid through Alberta Environment and Parks. We're going to try releases for diffuse knapweed and spotted knapweed this year with those 5 releases. So we've never done that before, so we're anxious to see how that's going to go and what will happen with those next year. So that project is a coordinated effort between AEP, Alberta and Invasive Species Council, and Cypress County. We've also been told about a biocontrol agent for scentless chamomile. So we've got a lot of this noxious weed in the county along creeks where spraying isn't always allowed. There has not been any releases reported in southeastern Alberta as of 2012. So they're hoping to get that species established here. So we're going to have 5 releases of those as well. So we'll give all those a shot and see, hopefully we can get some success in overwintering with those. And then I've ordered the 15 releases for leafy spurge as per usual in the last few years too. So the $8,000 goes towards those ones. So staff, we've got 9 seasonal staff that have been hired and started working the beginning of May. 6 of those are returning, and there's 3 new to the department. They've participated in various training events hosted by several different municipalities, such as weed inspector training, the Corteva Day, first aid, fire training, and the 3 new people completed their authorized assistant certifications. And the assistant ag fieldman will be going on maternity leave in June sometime here. So the Kubota and new spray skid arrived mid-April, so ag staff worked on those units to get them all ready for the spray season. So it is out today for the first time, so hopefully it's all good. Should be. Weed control, so of course the weeds are rapidly growing, and staff has started spraying county yards and bare ground areas. Also pulling and digging weeds on, windy days or rainy days and stuff like that. They're mowing various parts as well for weed control and that sort of thing. So we've got new software for the weed inspectors, so they've been kind of struggling learning that. It's, just learning curves, so they think they kind of got it a bit figured out here now, so they're going to be working harder to get things mapped ahead of time so the sprayers can go behind and spray. The Urban School Agriculture Discovery Center, so the 3 of us were in attendance at their tour that they had there one day. On May 12th, the student board of directors and the program coordinator were very excited and proud to show off their program and their little farm there, so that was kind of cool to see. The ASB grant report is underway, and it's got to be completed and submitted to Alberta Agriculture by June the 30th. Avian influenza, so on May 21st, a positive case of the highly pathogenic avian influenza was confirmed in a small flock in Cypress County. The CFIA is the lead in all those cases, so there won't be a primary control zone around this site because it is a small flock. If there would have been a commercial, operation within 3 kilometers of it, then it would have been a different situation, but that's not the case here. The bird owners will be directed by CFIA on protocols on how to deal with their birds. It was just days after when CFIA was there in their hazmat suits and everything and buried all the birds right on the property, so. And that virus can persist in feces and poultry litter for 7 to 39 days in approximately 20 degrees Celsius, and in feces and water for up to a year in colder temperatures. So just things to keep in mind. There was a neighbor that had phoned and was concerned about, their well-being and animals and that sort of thing too, so. And pest control, so there's been several inquiries about methods on how to get rid of Richardson ground squirrels, as we kind of expected. And there's also been several complaints about coyotes killing calves, and producers looking for methods to get rid of those as well. So, any questions?
Any questions for Lisa, guys? Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, but back to the gopher thing. I had a visit with a guy the other day. Maybe it's time to revisit looking into one of them gopher verminator things for rent. He said he used one and it worked really well. I got a couple pictures of a couple different ones that are out there. If I can just pass them around. So I guess that's my comment on that. If we could look into that, maybe find one to rent down the road here.
We do have that exit applicator that no one ever rents.
Yeah, that's that
The foam one.
foam thing though, but this is like a plow and it drops the rows all right in the ground.
Okay.
And so it's a little more, it's easier to do, and he said it wiped him out. He did a little hayfield about 35 or 40 acres. It was Dave Mack actually that I talked to, and he rented or used the red one from, that was Warren McKinley's. I think he had found it down in South Dakota and bought it. He used it and he said it really worked good. It leaves a little furrow, but if you just roll it afterwards, which maybe we can rent the roller out to him too, so. But he said it worked really good.
Put an attachment on the roller.
Yeah.
The burrow or whatever.
Yeah, well, what he said is you got to kind of figure out kind of how deep their burrows are or whatever, and then he went about, what did he tell me now, 40 or 50 feet apart, and just went back and forth. Like you got to go straight ahead, and then you got to lift it up, turn around, come back again. But it just drops the pellets kind of down in the ground, and these gophers, like he said, it pretty much wiped them out. He said there was a couple days later, but he think they come back. Obviously you're not going to kill them all because there's millions of them out there. So, but he was really impressed with it. It's just a single plow. It's got like a little plow on it or whatever, and it's got a tank up above that as it's going, it just feeds it into the ground as it's going.
And then it's buried in it.
And that's the other thing. It's buried in. Right. He used Rosal, yeah. He used it, I think, in April. He told me, like the end of April, beginning of May, something like that. Like I think it would be beneficial. I should keep it on. Beneficial for even farmers, and maybe not now because you got crop seeded, but say in the fall. Because they're going to still be there, and farmers could use it, or like ranchers in the hayfield. So.
Go ahead, Shane.
I'd like to make a motion that staff look into this thing and to see the availability, the cost, and just some more information, because even we could let other farmers know about it then in our book here if they want to buy their own or whatever too. I think it'd be quite useful.
Okay.
So I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, Josh, go ahead.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of Shane's motion? Carried.
But I do have another question.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
On the leafy spurge beetles, have you guys been out to see if they overwintered or not?
They go back to some every year.
Put your mic on, Lisa. Lisa, put your mic on.
Sorry. I just keep talking. Yeah, they've gone back a few times to several different locations, and they've done sweeping, and they do find some beetles, not hundreds or anything like that. Like, I keep hoping, but maybe eventually, like, in the right spot, you know. So there, I mean, there's been a lot of releases in the last, I don't know, 15 years for sure. So we'll, you know, keep going back to some of those other ones that haven't been checked for a long time, just to see what's there again, but, yeah.
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, the staff must be getting really sore hands from picking weeds on windy days because there's sure been a lot of windy days. So they must be really busy picking.
We're having a hard time keeping up because obviously we can't spray on those days, but we're out picking baby's breath already. Usually that's July or something when it's got the nice big poof of flowers, but now they're out looking for little sticks, kind of new growth. But
I have a field up, that's a rent up in Crescent Heights there. It is just covered
yeah,
in baby's breath.
I know there's been lots of issues up there in the past.
They sprayed the one big field that our rent's coming, but yeah, that was good. That I rent. Calgary, shit,
Yeah.
just covered.
Okay, any other questions for Lisa?
Can I just ask, was it Warren McKinley who has this goofinator thing?
Yeah,
or
Warren has the red
Verminator? Okay, it might be just worth chatting with him about it too a little bit. So, yeah, I'll take a picture of those or something. Or you guys can.
Actually, if you wanted to talk to Dave Mack, I got his number. He is the one that actually used it,
Okay,
and was, yeah, like I said, very impressed with how it worked.
okay. Okay,
Okay, any other questions for Lisa?
yeah.
See, our staff is going on maternity.
How dare she?
No comment.
Every staff that's been here in the last 20 years has been up.
Okay, can we get the Egger environmental, please?
Yeah, so we did our last two spring webinars. On March 23rd, we had the tree care with Tozo, and we had about 15 people on that call. And then on April 7th, we had our green acreages, and there was about 25 participants, but there were, because that program is like throughout Alberta, we had a couple producers from other municipalities also joining in on the call. So that number does reflect that there were a few people from out of Cypress County on that. And then the spring ASB newsletter, which you guys all have a copy of, was out in the April 5th edition of the Commentator. There's also an electronic copy in the agenda as well. And then for rental equipment, the sea drills have been, this report was written on Friday, so the drills were out all weekend too, so the numbers don't reflect over the weekend, but they were rented out by 16 producers so far to seed 1,306 acres. The 14-foot land roller's been rented out by one person to do 65 acres, and the 20-foot roller has been rented by 4 producers to do 393 acres. And we did build 2 magpie traps, and they've both been rented out to trap nuisance birds.
Okay, any questions for Kennedy? Go ahead, Shane.
And I know you've used it too, that the 20-foot roller with that blade. That works. It works good.
Yeah, quite phenomenal, actually.
Yeah.
You gotta pay attention, otherwise you move a lot of dirt and spin your tractor out, though, we found out.
Yeah, you can move quite a bit, but no, it works. And I know there was one issue with one seed drill broke by me.
It happens. Go ahead, Josh.
Whatever came back from council on the transportation fee and all that stuff?
Staying the way it is for this year.
Have you had any complaints? Nothing.
It cost me just as much in transport as it did to use it.
So what was council's, opinion on that?
The jugs are getting put now.
Yeah.
You know, so it wouldn't be that big a deal to set up bags that people can throw them in there, and then, like you said, it's just a matter of staff picking them up and
Yeah.
delivering them to the clean farm locations.
Yeah, same as Schuler. I think it would be beneficial to our county to look into that, because I think it's gonna become
Yep.
a problem.
And Dunmore necessarily wouldn't need one because they could just use the Pattison one, or the Richardson one. But,
Yeah, like it would have to be a coordinated effort somehow between a retailer because, well, I don't know how Clean Farms, like they probably won't support something like this because then everybody's gonna start, right? Wanting to do the same thing with the same,
it doesn't matter what Clean Farm supports, as long as they're at a central site when they come to get them, it doesn't matter.
right, but that's what they're trying to
Yeah.
avoid. So if we can gather all these things and take them to Patterson or UFA or something, right? So Clean Farms has one stop instead of 5 all of a sudden again, kind of thing. I don't know,
Yeah,
just,
be something the guys gotta look into, because
Yeah.
we'd have to coordinate it with probably, I'm guessing Richardson, because they're the closest to the Dunmore office, if they'd work with us on it, and
yeah,
it's for the greater good at the end of the day anyways, so.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that, or
Well, I was at the Dunmore.
use your mic, Connie?
I was at the Dunmore site today bringing garbage, and I can't believe how awesome that place is. Like, it's just so organized and nice and clean, and yeah, so kudos to those guys.
Been doing a lot of work, I think, on all those transfer sites and stuff, so.
Yeah, all the transfer sites have been cleaned up fairly dramatically compared to what they used to be, so.
Yeah,
They've
it's-
done good work on that,
It's nice.
so. Okay, all in favor of Josh's motion to work with the retailers and put collection sites at our transfer sites? Carried. Okay, wild boar bounty program. Just look at all this work we're giving staff today. This is gonna be great.
You're welcome. Okay, so this is just for your information as well. So the province came out with the bounty program. So there's a whole sounder trapping incentive program. That's gonna run for a couple of years, and then there's the wild boar, bounty program for hunters, basically, to bring in the ears. So there's been a lot of, disagreement kind of with this whole program because the province has had a good thing going for the last number of years where they have been trapping sounders and dealing with them appropriately. And now they've kind of been told that they, need to have this bounty again, and it's always been promoting, whole sounder rather than shooting because this, the pigs are smart. So as soon as you shoot one, you're not gonna get all 20 of them in the sounder. So the others scatter and then they become nocturnal and all that kind of stuff. So they've been working hard, like the last number of years, to promote no hunting, and now all of a sudden there's a hunting bounty out there. So nobody's overly happy with this thing, and that's kind of reflected when there's only been 2 municipalities out of 69 that have signed up for it. So thankfully, I suppose we don't have wild boar here, so we have to really make a decision on it, but
It's pretty hard to bring ears in when you blow them up.
that too.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Where's the $75 coming from? Who's paying that? Right from the provincial government?
Yeah, so like if we decided as an ag service board that we wanted to participate in this, then we would have to sign up with the province, and then the hunter or whoever would have to sign up with us. And yeah, it's kind of just back and forth between everybody, but
And we don't got wild boars yet, so we don't gotta worry about it.
yeah.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
And if there ever were wild boars here, then like Perry, he's been specializing in wild boar for years. He, you know, like he's very open. He wants people to report them to him because he's got the traps, he's got the knowledge and the expertise to deal with them already. So, you know, somebody doesn't need to go and spend $10,000 to buy a cage, like a fence, to be participating in this program. Like, he's already got all this stuff in place. So anyway, it's something that's out there, and you know, maybe it's right for some municipalities, but it's there's only 2 that have participated in it that I know of. So.
Conveniently, wild boars like trees, and we don't have any of those.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
did you hear on the radio the other day, they're starting to go into Lamont and stuff, like walking down the streets, and you know, so it's becoming more of a problem. But
I just really think we gotta stay on top of it though. Keep the awareness out there for people. If they see one coming in the county or nearby, report it so we can kick it in the ass before it gets out of control.
keep hearing, you know, like they're always concerned about the forks up Empress Way kind of thing is where they're probably going to come in, you know, along the rivers there. So we'll see. I don't know.
Funny wild boar story, actually. So I got a phone call from a fellow driving down the highway, and he wanted to report a couple wild boars. And I said, well, okay, well, what's the location of them? And he gave me the location. I said, oh, you don't got to worry about those ones. Those are my neighbor's potbelly pigs.
Well, better to be on the safe side.
Yeah. So, okay, Shane's going to move that for information. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Farm Family of the Year.
Okay, so this one, we just need to decide who would like to go as the representative to the Calgary Stampede on July 11th. That handout I gave you guys is a little bit more information. There's just details about the day or whatever, so if there's somebody who would like to attend, then I can submit that.
Shane, you want to go?
I'll go since I nominated him for neighbors, so.
Okay, so Shane moves to nominate himself.
No,
Is
that
that
don't
allowed?
sound good.
Okay.
I thought it was funnier if he nominated himself. Okay, so Connie moves to nominate Shane to go. Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
So I'll send your name and phone number in, I guess, to Kathy, and then she can contact you if there's anything. Okay.
I do recommend going to that if you haven't been to it. It is a pretty good day. Other than you have to get up at god awful o'clock to get there, but. Yeah, they send you the rodeo after. They give you some very, very cheap wine and orange juice in the morning. Actually, they gave us pretty good seats the last time. Yep. The second tier, I think it was. It was pretty good. You could see pretty good.
Haven't you been there, Connie, before? Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, policy review, weed control and herbicide application.
Okay, so this one, so at the February 15th council meeting, at the master rates bylaw, it was approved that we would be charging for any spraying on private property for noxious and prohibited noxious weed control. We used to spray the prohibited noxious weeds for nothing on private property, so now we're going to have to start charging for those. So we just updated the policy a bit to reflect some of that and a few other changes that we made also. We'd also sent a draft letter to landowners that have had prohibited noxious weeds in the past, just giving them a heads up that we would be charging going forward this year and that sort of thing. And surprisingly, I only had one call about that, and it wasn't even a huge concern. That just one lady was, you know, didn't know what weeds we were actually looking for and just wanted a lesson. She wants to meet us there, kind of thing. And then there's also been another letter drafted that we will send to landowners when we find the weeds on their land, just to, again, give them a heads up of, you have this certain weed and, you know, that you will be billed for it if we're gonna control it. But they also have the option of controlling it themselves or hiring a contractor or whatever, So anyway, the policy is here, so, there's a few things that have been struck out and a few additions in red, and just kind of wondering what your thoughts are, if it looks okay, or if there's anything that needs changing. So I guess another thing I'll bring up too, is scentless chamomile. What year was that? 2012, I think, or something. It is considered a noxious weed by the Weed Control Act and regulations, but in Cypress County, they had just decided to put it on their eradicable weeds list so we could deal with it because there was so little of it here. We thought we could control it. We can't because there's quite a bit along creeks and stuff like that. So we're just thinking we're just gonna put it back on the noxious weeds and consider it as it should be, kind of by the province, and just deal with it. It really doesn't change anything now, just that we're gonna not consider it prohibited noxious anymore here. It was never taken to the minister to officially change it. It was just something that the Ag Service Board decided then, so.
Go ahead, Josh.
In here, you talk about no spray areas or organic producers. How do you deal with those sites? If you can't spray, you leave it up to the landowner to clean it up, and they don't clean it up. What's your next? Like, do you have problems with that?
We really haven't had problems. Last year we even had a guy, and he was organic, he was growing hemp, I think it was, and he allowed us to come and spray. So, I don't know, he had knapweed on there and he was more than willing to have us in there. Otherwise it would be offering different solutions, like whether they're gonna pick or dig or something or mow, but they have to do something, right? But we haven't had to deal with that yet, so.
Go ahead, Connie.
Well, they're not allowed to use the county as a buffer zone, so.
That's right. Yeah, so if there was a bunch of knapweed on the outside of their fence or something, I mean, we don't need to be jerks about it, but they can't use that. I mean, we should be able to spray that, and, you know, they should be having their buffer inside their fence, yeah.
Go ahead, Shane.
You have been in contact with CFB Suffield on maintaining their weeds?
Not since I had that initial phone call, because they were gonna have a big meeting and come up with a plan. Like, I found a plan they had years ago and it's pages long, so I'm kind of waiting for something like that. But yeah, I could try and call that guy again and see if they've been working on that or something, so.
Yeah, just so we stay in touch with them and that they're doing their part, because
Yeah,
we had to spray a whole quarter section in pipeline grazing one year
Yeah.
for weeds, and it was coming from the Suffield, from the base.
yeah,
Well, we have the same problem with leafy spurge coming off of lease land into the BT, and the lease or whatever of the lease land won't do anything about it. Now it's crossing the fences, so I don't know how you. It would be the same thing with the base. There should be letters sent to these different people and some kind of action taken, but it doesn't seem like you can. Especially with lease land, right? Because it's controlled by the.
Make a motion.
Yeah, we did it, we paid for it ourselves.
know, we spray every year, but it's a losing battle because adjacent landowners aren't doing anything about it.
If they are prohibited noxious weeds and they're reported, they have to be taken care of. So
Yeah,
we can make that motion that letter gets sent if you can supply the names.
yeah, and I can follow up with,
Even on lease land?
well, yeah, like it's still,
You're the,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The leaseholder has a responsibility to control the weeds.
and even like I know it's an issue with like CPR and stuff, like they, you know, federal, and they think they don't need to abide by the provincial rules and stuff, and there's a huge fight with that, and I've emailed a contact from there and they never get back to me, so that's gonna end up being a weed notice too, because now it just goes and goes and they never do anything about it. They've got their little train that sprays the ballast, but nothing beyond. And, I mean, there's all kinds of weeds in there right away, so yeah, we'll have to deal with that too.
Okay, well,
Somehow.
let me look into this a bit and then, because we can send a weed notice for that.
Yeah, well, I
Because
mean,
I brought it up before, but
we could have a conversation with them first before it goes to a weed notice,
Yeah.
you know, type thing.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we try to
Yeah.
approach it nicely first, but
Absolutely,
when they
yeah.
don't
Yeah,
agree, then we
absolutely.
deal with it.
but, yeah, like if we have
But it's a
on
losing
locations.
battle up there
Yeah,
with leafy spurge in that area.
yeah. And goats, has anybody tried goats or anything like that, just alternatives?
Well, we had sheep in the BT for
Okay.
quite a few years,
Oh, yeah,
but it's the adjacent landowners to the BT. The BT sprays every year. We have it mapped and we try beetles and everything, but when the neighboring owners don't do anything, it's a losing battle. You're just wasting money. So,
okay.
So, do you wanna do anything with that, or are we just gonna
let's
do
just
that
leave
off
it
the
for now.
books?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough. Okay, so are you guys good with this policy as it's presented, or is there anything you want changed? Okay. Josh is gonna move it. Blaine's gonna move it. Okay, Blaine moves the policy as presented. All in favor? Carried. Agricultural service priority list.
So that too is just kind of changed a bit, just because of the fact that we're charging for weed control and stuff, so. And I added the scentless chamomile to the noxious weed list and took it out of the prohibited noxious, and just kind of minimal changes there, but I thought we should reflect it anyway. Looks okay, or you want different changes?
Okay, Connie moves to accept the changes. Is there any, or as presented? Is there any questions? No? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the resolution responses. This should be fun.
And I was waiting and deciding if I should put this in, and then did, and then about 3:30 yesterday, I got the email with kind of the summary from the provincial committee, so they've already given it their initial grade, so sometimes it's easier to go off of that one rather than just going blind, so I believe I emailed it all to you guys if you want to flip over to that email instead, but so the first one is vegetation management on provincial highways. How do we want to do this? Do we read the whole, what? Or just their,
What do you guys want to do? Do you want to go through it all, or do you want to just cliff note it? We have 45 minutes to lunch, so.
yeah, so basically, like they want, and I don't know who sponsored these things, if it says, but No, I don't think so. So they want Alberta Transportation to increase funding for summer maintenance programs for its vegetation management, weed control and mowing along provincial highways, and to enhance their current vegetation management strategy at a minimum to the level of the 2017 Provincial Integrated Vegetation Management Plan to manage noxious weeds, prohibited noxious weeds, and any unsafe vegetation on rights of way on all primary and secondary provincial highways. And that Alberta Transportation can continue to allow the option to enter into service agreements with municipalities for the purposes of vegetation management and or weed control within their respective municipalities. So, that's all great. We all kind of have those concerns, I think, when vegetation is left long. There was a couple of years when they were only making one pass in the ditch instead of two, and once a year instead of twice, and you know, all those things. So they want it back to the way they were doing it before. So the provincial ASB committee has given it an accept in principle grade this time. So that means all of the current concerns from the resolution were addressed in the response. The committee will follow up with the Ministry or Department of Transportation for updates to the program level review taking place this fall. The grade of accept in principle ensures the committee has made or has the mandate to follow up with the Ministry of Transport on this review. So, like, I think that's fair, but if you guys want something else, then we can submit that and just, they will compile everybody, like all the ASB's opinions and then make a final grade and, you know, send that out, I think, in the fall or whatever, so.
I think it's okay. And
Yeah, I think so.
they're not, in here it just says they need to manage their budgets and different things like that, so.
Yeah,
Basically, it's just, here's a nice letter saying that we're gonna try.
yeah, exactly.
But I know they did cut back on it.
Well, with my experience with highways is if there's money left over, then they make two cuts. If they don't have the money, they make one cut. So it all depends on how their budgets are towards the end of the year, whether they make two or three or whatever they do.
And I mean, for us in Cypress County, like we, you know, as far as weeds, noxious weeds and stuff, like I just emailed Alberta Transportation a couple days ago and they said, yeah, you're good to go. Like you know, last year we spent about $22,000 and I, you know, just kind of asked for that again this year and they said, yeah, that's okay. So, I mean, I know that's not the mowing and that side of things, but we've always had a good working relationship, so. Okay, so we are in agreement of accept in principle? Okay. Okay, this is all mixed up here. Okay, so the second one is restoration of Alberta Agriculture, Forestry, and Rural Economic Development Region Network of Experts. So, AFRED, that they support, encourage regionally based provincial government staff or contractors with extensive experience in their chosen agricultural field to be consistently available to meet with ASBs as an expert source of the timely, detailed, and unbiased information that ASBs are now expected to deliver. Okay. My pages are mixed up here, sorry. So the ASB Provincial Committee accepts that in principle. The response from the government addresses the resolution and indicates that works is in progress to design a cooperative extension model. The provincial committee has discussed this process with RDAR executives and has asked for an update on this progress at the June 8th, 2020 town hall meeting. The grade of this, of accept in principle ensures that the committee has the mandate to continue to inquire about this progress and advocate for government support regionally based agriculture experts that are able to advise and collaborate with ASBs on their extension efforts.
Can I talk? So, what I see here is another consultant looking into doing what we all know, and I just think this is not a great response. Like, the horticulture now lost Rob Spencer, so there was one guy in the province and he's gone.
Yeah.
There was one tree guy and he's gone. Like, there's nothing left. The website is crap.
Yeah.
So I would say this is not acceptable response.
So unsatisfactory, is that what you're, I'm
Yeah.
trying to see here what
Yeah,
they
they're
are
just
here.
throwing more money at consultants to find out stuff we already know.
So unsatisfactory is a response that does not address the resolution as presented or does not meet the expectations of the ASB provincial committee.
Yeah, that's what I say.
I would agree, they're just pushing it down the road.
Yeah, and
For
they
sure,
just
and that's-
hire more and more consultants to
They
do
spend
something.
more money on consulting fees
Exactly.
than they do on actually getting it done.
Yeah. Okay. So we would like to submit unsatisfactory or whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need a consultant to identify gaps. They're all gaps.
Yeah, well, it is for sure. And lots of municipalities are having lots of issues with that. Like they get a ton of phone calls, you know, about some of these things that they can't answer. And I mean, we don't get too many, but I still use TOSO and stuff too, right? But now we've decided to pay him last fall or whatever, so now I don't feel as bad. But yeah, but there's certainly some gaps. Okay. And then this one was ours, and we had decided on that at the last meeting, I think. So we can skip that one. I think we were accepting the response there too. Okay, and then 422 is properly managing ungulate populations. The request that Alberta Environment and Parks address the issue of outdated population data in areas which have high rates of wildlife damage insurance claims and restructure ungulate population survey frequency to accurately understand population densities in relevant wildlife management units. And that Alberta Environment and Parks use the precise population data to manage ungulate populations through increased number of hunting tags. So this grade was incomplete, as it did not provide enough detail to determine if the measures referred to in the response address the concerns of the ASBs. So.
I would agree with that.
I would also agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, and further news, did you see that Casey Madhu is running for UCP leadership?
Yeah.
I seen that this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you order dessert too? Okay, maybe I'll save the cookies then. Okay, so 522, exemption of natural gas and propane for agriculture under the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act. That the Government of Canada, Minister of Finance, with support from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, amend the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act to include natural gas and propane as exempted fuels for agriculture production. And there's a couple of responses there. And again, this one was graded as incomplete because there's not enough details.
I'd give it unsatisfactory. Yeah. Because they gotta do something with that, because that's just murdering us.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's zero plan there, there's nothing, it's unsatisfactory. Is there a grade lower than unsatisfactory?
No.
Do we not accept the response? Can we do that? Because that's what I would do.
No, unsatisfactory is the lowest we can go.
Can we make up our own?
Maybe. We could put that in the comments. We do
Well,
not accept
seriously,
this.
but there's, it's killing us is what it's doing. It's really knocking all the profit off of it. We're just lucky in this part of the world that we don't have to dry grain, because I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like if we had to do that. But, we're paying on a quarter section of farmland, I'm paying roughly, $1,800 to $2,500 a year in carbon tax on 1 quarter irrigating. Like, it's insane.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the problem is if you take and pass that along, sure, fine and dandy, but we can't, as agriculture producers, we can't pass any of that cost along. It just comes out of our bottom line. And we all know how great that is to begin with, so.
Okay.
I'll write the damn letter to him myself.
Okay, so we'll.
On the upside, it did get reintroduced to the House of Commons here, the last sitting again, so I doubt it'll go anywhere because I'll put this on record, the Liberals are retarded. But yeah, Shane voted for his buddy Trudeau the last time. He just admitted. Anyways. Yeah, big red sign on his lawn, yeah.
Okay. So 622, amendments to the ASB Conference Resolution Rules of Procedure. So that the Agriculture Service Board Provincial Committee bring forward amendments to the regional and provincial ASB Conference Rules of Procedure for consistent ASB member representation and to facilitate greater oversight of the review of resolutions with the objectives to clarify the content within the resolutions and reduce resolution duplication in consultation with the sponsoring municipality. So this all stemmed from that one a few years ago that was online.
This is what they're still mad about, was the online one?
When there was two about the strychnine or something, and they should have been combined to begin with, and all that stuff. I don't think Blaine was here for that yet, but
Well, that was kind of a ruckus altogether, but
It was.
we worked with what we had, and it hasn't been an issue since, so
yeah.
what do you do?
So anyway, so because this is directed to the ASB Provincial Committee, they're not gonna put a grade on it. They want the Ag Service Boards provincially to grade this, so they're not doing grading themselves. So,
Should we really just piss off Sebastian and give him an unsatisfactory grade?
well, I don't even think he works for it anymore, does he? Is he on the committee still? I don't know either, because I feel like he's not a fieldman anymore, so I don't know if he's still on this committee or, yeah. Okay. He's still on there, okay. I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, the way the resolutions ran this year with Sebastian running them was in the best I've ever seen and the most efficient, and he didn't let people ramble on about stuff like I'm rambling on right now. So, yeah, it was really good.
Well, that would have been nice to see him. It's upsetting that I missed it. Because usually
Yeah.
they're a gong show.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some guy had COVID, so he couldn't come.
And, Connie didn't even go.
Yeah.
Berserk. You didn't have time because Sebastian was just keeping things moving right along, yeah. Well, that's
You're
good.
gonna have to move the goals.
And that would help a lot, you know, like they're usually so, like they just never end and it's, yeah. Well, and I like his response here, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a fair
Like,
response.
do we accept it? Are we accepting the response then?
Give him a satisfactory grade.
Is that-
Yeah, I think we can accept that. That's reasonable.
Okay. Okie dokie. Well, that's what we'll do.
Is that all of them?
That's it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, these ones were reasonable and short and sweet.
No, you can't talk, Connie. Go ahead.
Now that we're on the topic of resolutions, is there anything we should be thinking about for the next conference?
I don't know, Connie, what do you got up your sleeve?
I don't have nothing, that's why I'm asking
That's
you guys.
amazing.
Yeah, right.
I know.
Until you go rogue on us again.
Well, I'd like to write a resolution about Alberta agriculture and their website again, because it still sucks.
It's the government. They're forever working on it.
I don't know.
Like the, you
So
know,
is Corey Beck not the chairman anymore?
Corey Beck.
Wasn't he the
No,
provincial
I
chairman?
don't know. He, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how often they change their
Because he was.
board.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Forever.
Is he a relative or?
No,
Oh, okay.
hopefully not.
Okay, well, before we get too off topic, do we want to, let's move to direct staff to submit the grade resolutions and comments that we gave. Connie's moving that. All in favor? Carried. So, yeah, if you think of anything you want to put forward for resolutions, bring them to the next meeting or meeting after that, or sometime before December. November? October? Oh, geez, they really want you to get on your game.
Probably, I would say that's right. 'Cause I know the, yeah,
Well, what's taken with the chem jug thing, let's see what we come up with on that, and we might have to put something forward on that again, now that it's changed for the better, for the worst.
That there could be a hybrid model,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
but let's see what kind of info Lisa comes up with before we go anywhere with that, I think.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, is there anything else in the items for information that are of any relevance to anything?
Just something that might be kind of interesting. Apparently there's downy brome that is resistant to glyphosate now, so that'll be a nightmare.
Yeah, I have some.
Oh, good. It's in the county.
Yep.
Because what?
I just sprayed a bunch.
Oh,
I carried it over in a bucket for you.
okay. I feel like I'm missing part of my agenda or something here. What else is on here? Crop reports, moisture situation reports. And yeah, I guess those are just letters. Oh, and there was a letter from the Red Deer County too, regarding the conference and resolution session, and they were quite impressed with it too, as if I remember right, so. Yeah, okay, well, I don't think there's too much else here.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the meeting, Connie?
Is there gopher traps?
It's not traps,
Well, you want
Like-
that to relocate or what?
oh,
You can buy them at UFA.
Gopher traps?
They may not be very humanitarian gopher traps, but
Good.
yeah.
They went into my grapes. They blew up my grapes. Caught some of the bull trap.
Actually, this is something we may want to take and get in on. Spirit River put out this letter for about synthetic fertilizer emissions. And the federal government's targets on reducing them. I think it's page 112.
Do you think we should be writing a
did
letter?
we write a letter for that? I think we sent one,
Did we?
yeah.
I don't remember. Did I sign it?
I don't know, I might have just put your
Yeah.
signature on.
I don't remember ever seeing it, so that's why I'm curious.
I feel I could check and see. I'm
Check
sure
and
it
see if
said
we
it.
did,
Yeah.
because if we didn't, we should.
Can't grow potatoes. No fertilizer because all the topsoil's gone.
Yeah, I'm sure we sent one.
That's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Another thing, has there been any correspondence from Farming Smarter on anything?
Nope. Not a word.
They are done with us, eh?
I guess so.
I guess so. Yeah, the only thing I see is whatever kind of pops up on Facebook or whatever, and yeah.
Seems like if you don't respond with funding right away, then they just forget about you. Well, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sure we can use it somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Go ahead, Blaine.
Did you happen to find out anything about that Alice program at all, or?
Not a bunch. We haven't had a whole bunch of time, and Braden has reached out to somebody, and they haven't replied to him
replied
yet.
back.
So it's on our radar certainly,
Okay.
though. So we'll get us, some details and bring it to
Okay.
another meeting. Yeah.